Wait for it to go live. There we go. We are live. Welcome.
Let's freak. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, Josh, you got it this
Why is
week.
my AirPod not connecting?
Let's freaking go. It is, I think we can say a special video. And happy holidays to everyone. We'll have a really big surprise at the end of the video. So, holidays from all of us here at Frontline Football. Now, let's get into some predictions. The first matchup, we have
Stupid.
not safe for work Brock versus Gino, who just turned around his career, Smith, on Thursday Night Football. Zach, go.
Really, actually, Gino is starting to look. He's still going to win Comeback Player of the Year, but Gino has started to show flaws, a lot of flaws in his game. You can see that a lot with, I believe didn't they lose to the Panthers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Panthers are looking good at this time. They're starting to hit their stride, but still, that's no excuse for Geno Smith, especially because that defense was suspect at best for the Panthers, and having Geno kind of get destroyed, but not destroyed, but just shown up a lot. I'm not trusting against this Niners defense. Brock Purdy literally just has to do the most minimum thing and give it to CMC or George Kittle, and he has. It's done. So, Niners are looking very good. Mr. Irrelevant's going to be getting his second win. What about you, Jack? Or third?
I'm also going 49ers here. Now, last week I didn't pick them because I was worried about Brock Purdy and all this, and if he was going to be able to do this again, fluky stuff. But so far, it seems like he's been able to adjust to the Shanahan system pretty easily. It's gotten on really fast, and all he really needs to do is run the ball. Seahawks can't really stop the run. So we saw they struggled against the Panthers. Josh Jacobs had a 200-yard game against them. If he gives it to CMC a lot and he's able to just play smart, turnover-free football, I don't think the Seahawks defense can handle the 49ers offense. Gino's also been looking a little He's been struggling, and while they're getting Kenneth Walker back, the 49ers defense is the best against running backs this year. So it's not going to be an easy battle for them. I'm giving this one to the 49ers. I think Brock Purdy and the offense is just going to overwhelm Seattle for the most part. Give me the 49ers. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I think I got to go with 49ers here. I did choose them last week in an upset. I didn't expect Brock Purdy to do what he did, but as long as he's a game manager and just keeps everything going correctly, relies on his run game, like everyone else said, they should have a win against Seattle. So give me the Niners here. Okay. Our next matchup is the Eagles versus the Bears. Jack, what are your thoughts on this game?
I have to go Eagles here. Eagles were kind of scaring me in the middle of the season, but they seem to have recovered. They went absolutely destroyed the Giants. They destroyed the Titans. They put up 40 against the Packers. They didn't destroy them, but they still put up a lot of points. And while Justin Fields is healthy, or I'm not going to say he's completely healthy because he's still a little banged up. He's had a bye week to sort of recover a little bit more. So I think he could theoretically keep the Bears in the game, but I just think the Bears defense is not equipped to handle anything the Eagles have to go against them. They're pretty clear like a top 3 team in the league right now. Bears are a bottom three team in the league right now. So I just don't think Justin Fields is going to be able to beat the Eagles by any means. I expect the Eagles to win by multiple scores. Give me the Eagles. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I think I got to go with the Eagles here, too. As much as the Bears have opened the Bears this year, the Eagles are one of the top teams in the entire NFL. Excuse me, sorry. They're one of the top teams, and this win is just going to get them one step closer to playoffs. And so give me the Eagles here. Zach?
Eagles. Eagles are really like just the better version of this Bears squad that we're seeing. They have a very similar quarterback, very similar stuff, but the Eagles just have better weapons, better everything, and the Eagles should destroy the Bears. It'll probably be a blowout like they've been doing to their other teams, like Jack mentioned.
Okay. So our next matchup is the Falcons versus the Saints. I'll be taking this one. I think that the Atlanta Falcons will be winning here. As much as the NFC South has been a dumpster fire this year, I think, well, with this matchup, this could actually have like some division implications. So I'm gonna pick the Falcons here because I feel like their team is a little bit more healthier than the Saints. So I'm just gonna go off of that alone, and I'm gonna take the Falcons. Zach, what are your thoughts?
I gotta go. I also have to go Falcons. Um, this Falcons team is not good. No, the South has been really looking that dominant this season, which was expected for most of them, except for the Saints and the Buccaneers, which is weird. But I think the Falcons are still really trying to win this division, and having a win over the Saints would help a lot because then they basically lock up the Saints from getting into the getting the win in the division, making them most likely lose and get closer to their draft pick, which they are tanking. Like the Bears, the Saints are also tanking for probably Will Anderson, or even they could totally take CJ. Ooh, no, they can't even take CJ Stroud because they traded up, didn't they? Ooh, they're an idiot.
They don't have their pick. The Eagles have their pick.
All right, well they're an idiot. But the Bears are tanking, so that's still true. They're tanking for Will Anderson, so that's fine. That's besides the point. Falcons are gonna get the win here. Saints are gonna be really struggling and maybe even have to trade up to the top 15 to get a quarterback. That's gonna be weird, especially for their cap. But we'll talk about that later in off-season previews, which they're in cap. Oh, age double hockey stick. So yeah, Jack.
I'm also going Falcons here. Saints, they've been weird. Defense has been okay. Offense has been pretty atrocious for the most part. They're getting healthier, but still both teams are coming off a bye, so the Falcons also getting healthier. I think what gives the Falcons slight edge is Marcus Mariota is finally benched. They get Desmond Ridder a shot. This guy, they have no tape on Desmond Ridder in the NFL so far, so he could come out gunslinging. It could be absolutely terrible. We just have no clue right now. He's a complete mystery. But I think ultimately it will throw him off for a little bit. I think Desmond Ridder in his first start gets a W here against the division opponent. So give me the Falcons.
Okay, so our next matchup is the Giants versus Commanders. Jack, what are your thoughts on this game?
I have to go Commanders here. First, they're coming off a bye. They haven't lost in almost 2 months now. They're like 5-0-1 since their 1-4 start, so good for them. They are playing really well as of late. So, ultimately, coming off the bye, they're getting healthier. Taylor Heineke's having a flow. Defense is starting to come together. And we also have to talk about the Giants. They're not looking so hot the last couple weeks. Saquon's injury is definitely not helping them overall. But they've pretty much every part of their team has taken a step back since the 6-1 start. They're 1-5 or they're 1-4 since the 6-1 start. So they're starting to fall off a little bit. I expect the trend to continue here on Sunday Night Football. Washington's just finally starting to pick it up, and the Giants are doing the complete opposite, starting to fall off. And I expect both the trends to continue here. Give me the Commanders to win this game. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I gotta go Commanders here. Their defense and Taylor Heineke have been playing very, very well. It's been surprising to watch this team, especially from how they started, which Jack mentioned. They did not start hot. They had a losing streak of 4 games. You didn't really think they could turn their season around. They've only really lost the Vikings in this like weird stretch of wins and tied with the Giants. And they probably want revenge for tying with the Giants because they know that they're better than them at this point. So give me the Commanders here in a very soundful win and probably something in FedEx Field or not FedEx. Is it FedEx? I don't know. We'll break. Josh?
I gotta go with the Commanders too. Coming off of their bye week, I really think that Jack put it best. The Commanders are on the rise. They're starting to find their flow, and they just got off of their bye. While the Giants are trying to figure out what the heck happened to their season after that 6-1 start. So these teams, I think last time that they faced off, you know those points on a graph, they hit that, both lines cross, and now since one line's going down, one line's going up, I think that this game is going to be a Commanders win. They hit the midpoint. That's what it's called. Okay, our next game is Tyler Huntley versus the Browns quarterback. I'm going to hand this one off to I guess I'll take this one. I am going to have to go with the Ravens here because I don't know what the Browns are doing. They feel weird to choose, especially because of their last couple of weeks. So I'm going to choose the Ravens. I think that they are going to win, even with Tyler Huntley, because he looked really good last week, or enough to win the game. So I think that they're going to win on this Saturday football game. And Jack, what are your thoughts?
I think this is going to be my upset of the week. I'm going to give the edge to the Cleveland Browns here. I understand the Ravens, they've been playing solid. It hasn't been anything mind-boggling the last month. Almost lost to the Panthers, choked the game against the Jaguars. So they've had a couple weird games overall. Browns, well, I'm not saying the Browns have been very good either. Deshaun Watson started to improve a little bit. He finally got over 200 yards. He threw a touchdown. So it's like little progress. It's a Saturday night game in division. I think anything could happen. So I'm going to give it to the Browns here in an upset. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Weirdly enough, I'm actually agreeing with you, Jack. I think that this Browns team is really. I think Deshaun Watson's going to have his coming out party, and he's going to be throwing some happy ending touchdowns, and it's going to be a fun time. Massage parlors are going to be scared. Yeah, but Deshaun will actually, I believe, have a good game. There's a lot of weird stuff that's happening with the Ravens, right? Especially injuries. And they've been a very commonly injured team. So I'm a little concerned, especially because it's week 15. And they only have a couple more weeks to get healthy. And it's not a good time to be thinking about getting healthy. You need to get healthy before this playoff start. And you're getting further and further from that first seed, too, which the Bills have kind of taken over. So, yeah. So, give me the Browns.
Okay, so our next matchup is the Dolphins versus the Bills in our next Saturday game. Jack, I choose you. What's your take?
I'm going with the Bills here. The Bills, let's look at their schedule. The last month, they have been winning, and they're putting up a lot of points as well. They played pretty well, really good game against the Jets in the cold weather and all that. And the Dolphins, they're a team that's sort of starting to struggle a little bit. Whenever they run into good defenses, or even mediocre defenses, they seem to struggle. 49ers has handled them pretty well. Chargers, Tua versus Herbert on Sunday night. They fell short, even in a pretty competitive game. But overall, this Bills team, they are in a critical race for the number one seed. Chiefs, Bills tied for it right now. Bills have the tiebreaker, but that could change with a loss. I just think the Dolphins, they're starting to struggle a little bit, and the Bills are starting to hit their stride. Miami also stole one in Miami and an upset at the time at week 3. So the Bills need to make sure they split the season series, get a critical division win here, and stay on top of the AFC. So give me the Bills. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I gotta go with the Bills here. I think that the Dolphins have really just hit their peak right now. And while I don't think that they're going to be on the decline, I don't think that they will be at the same dominance that they were at the beginning of the season or where they were at the middle. And the Bills have just gotten better and better each week that we've seen them. So the Bills are going to keep this going and get a win here. Zach, what are your thoughts?
This is a different Bills team. After that Vikings loss, they have really turned it up. They've won the least they've scored. And it's been a little concerning, especially after the Vikings game. Because then they played the Browns. They got 31, 28, 24, 20. It's starting to go on the decline for points. But they're also, in my opinion, playing harder defenses every week. So that's fine. I feel like the Bills will get an easy win. Not easy. No. Not easy, but a very solid win. The Dolphins are still scoring a lot of points. They didn't score as much as the Bills have, but they scored 30 on the Texans. They didn't score too much against the Niners, but it's a very good defense. And they scored the same amount of points the last 2 weeks. So the Bills can just keep it consistent. The Dolphins are doing what they're still doing, scoring 17 points a game. I think the Bills will be fine. So give me the Bills here.
Okay, so our next matchup is the Chiefs versus the Texans. I will take this one. The Chiefs are going to win. They're going to wipe the floor with the Texans. The Texans, I'm so sad. They actually gave me some hope that we would beat Dallas and then show that they were frauds, but unfortunately, that was not the case. And we are now facing the Chiefs. So I'm going to have to say that the Chiefs win this game by a big margin because they are Super Bowl contenders, and the Texans are in one of the greatest tank jobs I've ever seen right now, with their commander being Lovie Smith and Davis Mills, Kyle Allen, and Jeff Driscoll, whoever we feel like starting that day. So give me the Chiefs here. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Chiefs are going to drop 60 on these guys. I swear. They're going to drop 60. This offense is so good, and the Texans' defense is so crappy. Chiefs are going to have an amazing game. Thank God this is the first week of playoffs for fantasy because Travis Kelce is going to cook anything that is on there. Mahomes, too. Oh my gosh. I am excited for the playoffs this time for fantasy. So, yeah, give me the Chiefs. And I expect like 60 from these guys, or even I can see 70 from these guys. Jack?
I'm also going Chiefs here. After their strange shootout with Russell Wilson last week, Texans, to their credit, they look good against Dallas. They kept it a one-score game. It was probably a best-case scenario. The players, your young core, balled out, but you still managed to secure the L, so you keep the tank going. So I think overall, Chiefs are going to probably destroy these guys. Texans, I mean, I'd be surprised. I don't really know what's going on with quarterback. Petrie's been playing well on the defense, but that's not going to be enough to stop Mahomes and Kelce overall. I expect this one to be one of the blowouts on Sunday. Give me the Chief.
Okay, so our next matchup is the Patriots versus the Raiders. Jack, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think I'm giving the slight edge to the Raiders. It's an upset, but they did have the long week. They choked against Baker Mayfield, but that was a very Josh McDaniels game. He likes to lose weird games and win weird ones, too. I think the big X factor here is the Patriots running back situations. Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris got injured, so if either of those guys can play, I could definitely see it swinging back in New England's favor. But as of right now, if they aren't to play, I could see the Raiders getting the dub. I'm giving the slight edge to the Raiders. Their playoff hopes kind of got stomped out, but they were starting to get some consistency under them before the Baker Mayfield incident. So I think their offense is going to do just enough in a relatively defensive game, especially if the Patriots don't have their two running backs. I think Raiders' offense does enough to put them over the top, and they get the win here in Vegas. Give me the Raiders. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I think that the Patriots are winning this game. I don't think it's going to be their offense that wins them this game. I think it's going to be the Raiders' offense messing up just enough for the Patriots to win the game. Because if we've really been looking at it, Joe Judge and Matt Patricia do not know what they're doing as offensive play callers and should have never gotten the job in the first place. That is embarrassing, and I am so sad that we have to call that offense, because that is not offense at all. So give me the Patriots winning here. Zach?
I was not impressed by that Patriots team. We scored so many, had so many touchdowns. We would have won the game. Kyler was healthy, most likely. But Kyler gets injured. I was not impressed with this team. The defense didn't show up. It's just we had a really bad situation with the quarterback. And when you lose your quarterback, it's kind of hard. I feel like I thought about Belichick versus McDaniels, and McDaniels is originally Belichick's disciple, but no. I got to give it to the Raiders. The Raiders only lost to Baker because of, like, horrible, just I'm not going to say professionalism, because that's not true, but it's just bad calls that they just got. They got random penalties that let Baker get all the way up there. So, yeah, give me the Raiders. I feel like they're going to have a more consistent game against the Patriots, and the Patriots defense can't hold up Devontae Adams and all of them for so long. They're going to break at some point. So give me the Raiders here.
Okay, so our next matchup is the Titans versus Chargers. I will take this one. I think the Titans are going to win here because the Chargers have just been so injured. Of course, they did just beat the Dolphins, but the Titans, I just feel like, are going to get this weird win where some people are expecting them to win, and they're just going to finally knock the Chargers out of this playoff contention that they somewhat have at this point. So give me the Titans winning here. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I think I'll go Chargers here. I can't trust the Titans ever. Sometimes, whenever I bet on them to get a win, they get smoked by Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. And then sometimes when I expect them to lose, they find a way to come up big with their defense. But over the last, I'd say, month, they have been in a pretty rough slide. That's 3 in a row now that they've lost. And both, other than the Bengals game, the other two were not really close. So I'm going to give the slight edge to the Chargers. Justin Herbert. Of course, Justin Herbert, Eckler, those guys have been good, but Keenan Allen's getting healthy. Michael Williams is back in the lineup. Well, Brandon Staley and their run defense is always going to be a concern for me. Derrick Henry could have potential to have a big game, or at the very least control the ball for the Titans. I still expect Herbert and company, who are finally getting healthier on offense, to do just enough to get the win here in probably a pretty competitive game. But give me the Chargers here. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I see what you kind of mean, Jack, by Titans haven't lost to but they've only lost to good teams, except for the Giants. The Giants are the exception. They only lost to the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Eagles, and then the exceptional Jags. But they could make the playoffs this year. We could totally see a Jags playoffs. But honestly, I don't think the Chargers are that good of a team because they've been very inconsistent this year. And I'm gonna give it to the Titans. I just need to see Derrick Henry be a lot more consistent, especially in this Jags game. That was a really nice performance by Trevor Lawrence. If Herbert can have a performance like that, then yeah, give it to the Chargers. But I don't think Herbert's going to have that type of a game, especially watching that Dolphins game. He did really well, but I think that the Titans are just going to sneak out with a win here.
Okay, so our next matchup is our final Saturday matchup, which is the Colts versus the Titans. I'm going to take this one. Vikings. Colts versus Vikings. I'll take this one. I think the Vikings are going to win because Jeff Saturday, while he can keep it close with most teams that he plays against, he can't seem to win besides that Raiders game at the beginning of the year. So I'm just going to have to give this to the Vikings just because, of course, they did just lose to Detroit, but they've been really good this year. Not very on and off. There's been a couple games that they probably should have won, but still, their record shows that they are a really good team and should actually be feared in their division and in the conference in general. So, give me the Vikings winning this game. Zach, what are your thoughts?
I gotta go. I've already kind of put everyone down for Vikings in our little list, but I don't think anybody's gonna choose Colts. Yeah, the Vikings show a little bit of cracks in their not armor, but they lost pretty not bad. It wasn't impressive. It wasn't like they lost by 1 point. The Lions have been really turning it up lately, so I'm not gonna give it too much, but they are showing a little bit of flaws, and the Lions are starting to get good. They're going to keep playing better opponents. Not down this stretch. This stretch is easy. But when they get to the playoffs, it's just going to be harsh teams. So they get a little bit of an easy slide. Probably 4 wins they get. So it'll be very easy for the Vikings to get out of here. I believe they clinch playoffs at this point. Yes, they will. They'll clinch playoffs with this win. So give me the Vikings clinching playoffs. Jack?
I have to go Vikings here. Vikings, they've been weird. They've been pretty consistent for the most part, picking up wins. They struggle against explosive offenses occasionally when it comes to their defense. Their defense is not perfect. They were going to have to fix that for the playoffs, but I don't really see the Colts being a threat there. You got Matt Ryan, JT running behind the banged up and pretty bad this year offensive line, and then Pittman maybe, but nowhere near the explosiveness like the Lions with like Amon-Ra, DeAndre Swift, and those guys. So the Vikings should handle business here and get an easy win, clinching the NFC North. Yep, because that gets them at 11. So give me the Vikings.
Okay, so our next matchup is the Steelers versus the Panthers. Zach, what are your thoughts?
I'm doing some research real quick. Kenny Pickett can't play. All right, then that's an easy win for the Panthers because Mitch Trubisky is a really bad quarterback. Kenny Pickett had like a stretch where he was not throwing a pick. I think it was 3 or 4 games, and Trubisky throws 3 picks in that that Steelers game. Yeah, this is a Panthers win here. They've been looking really good, and they've really turned it up lately, so I'm going to give it to them. I believe it's Steve Wilkes is really good at coaching for being a interim. And, yeah, he didn't. I don't know why he didn't show this for the Cardinals, but it's okay. Yeah. Jack?
I'm also going Panthers here. Like Zach said, Mitch Trubisky is terrible. He struggled against the Ravens. Now, I guess the Panthers' defense is definitely not as good as the Ravens, but I don't think it's going to make a difference where Trubisky's winning the game for them by any means. Sam Darnold has played pretty solid so far the last couple of weeks. Running game started to figure it out. Whoever's starting for them, they've had a carousel, but they've made it work for the most part. And overall, they're starting to find a little bit of a stride with Sam Darnold under the helm. They are in a high-stake division where they can actually leapfrog the Bucs this week with a win. And overall, I'm just not trusting Mr. Trubisky here to go into Carolina and beat the Panthers right now. The Panthers are starting to figure it out a little bit. I think this continues with their third win in a row. Give me the Panthers. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I think I gotta go with Panthers too, just because of all the points that you guys said, and really nothing else. I think you guys covered all of it. So our next matchup is the Cowboys versus the Jags. I'll take this. I think that the Jags are going to come in with an upset here and beat the Cowboys. As much as I think that the Cowboys are probably going to make playoffs, I don't see them as Super Bowl contenders, especially after that Texans game where they almost lost to them if the Texans didn't trip over their own 2 feet by running it 4 times at the goal line on like the 1 yard line. So that was a really bad decision by Pep that should have had the Cowboys lose, but they didn't. So now the Jags are going to get business done because they've been looking really good. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to give it to the Cowboys here. I definitely see room for a Jags upset at this point. They're heating up. Trevor Lawrence is playing really good. It's in Jacksonville with some playoff implications potentially with a win. But I'm going to trust the Cowboys defense to do just enough to get them by. Not 100% sold on the Cowboys. That was really concerning. If Pep Hamilton's just a little smarter in the red zone, they could very well be leaving with an L there in Houston. So it's incredibly close. I think this game's going to be competitive. I'm going to give the slight edge to the Cowboys. I think they shake it off, get back on track. But do not be surprised if there's a Jags upset this week. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I'm going to go Jags, too. Trevor Lawrence has played some really nice football lately. He played a very good game. That was basically like Trevor Lawrence is having his rookie year again. Because Urban Meyer. But they've had some nice victories, and they've also had some pretty scary losses. But they've at least scored like pretty consistently this year. I think that was their highest scoring game this year. Yes, that was their highest scoring game, tied with the Chargers game that they had. With 38 points. So this team at max can score 38 points. Now we've seen the Cowboys score a lot more, but will Dak be able to do it, especially against this type of defense? That's going to be a lot more difficult than what the Texans were running. The Texans only have a .107 win percentage. So, I don't know what you're thinking there, but yeah, give me the Jags here. And not a convincing victory. So, yeah.
Okay, so our next matchup is the Lions versus the Jets. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to give it to the Jets this week. This game is going to be really good. It's got a lot of playoff implications for both sides. But it's elite offense versus elite defense here. Lions versus offense versus Jets defense. Jets defense still played pretty well in Buffalo, holding them to 20 points, which is pretty good considering how explosive the Bills can be. Stephon Diggs was held in check for most of the game. It was mainly just the Jets' offense fumbling the ball. Looking at you, Joe Flacco. Thank God he's inactive again this week. But overall, I'm getting the slight edge to the Jets. They're going to have a lot of defense in this game. It'll just come down to the other side, Mike White versus the Lions defense. Is the Lions defense going to be able to take advantage of the Jets' injured tackle position? How well is Mike White going to play with the broken ribs? Stuff like that. But I think Mike White, Bam Knight, and those guys do just enough on offense to help ride the Jets defense and get another win here for the Jets. Give me the Jets. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Jets, Jets. The Jets are competing for playoffs. Well, the Lions aren't really looking good at the latter point of the season. I think that the Jets just have too much riding on the line. It doesn't matter if they're starting Zach Wilson or Mike White. This team is having one goal and one goal only, and that is to make the playoffs this year. They are not going to let anything stand in their way from now until week 18. This is going to be a fun ride, so buckle up and get ready. So give me the New York Jets winning here. Zach?
I'm actually gonna go Lions. I'm sorry, but Jack, you mentioned that tackle issue. Do you really think? I'm just gonna ask you this question. Do you really think that the Lions are not that smart to not put Aiden Hutchinson wherever that backup left tackle is or right tackle? That's my question.
Oh, they will.
Because he's already had 7 sacks this season. He's leading all the rookies in sacks. If Sauce Gardner and everyone else wasn't there, Hutch would be winning the award this year. I'm gonna have to go Lions. Their defense has improved over the time that we've been talking about their defense and how it's not been the best. Their offense has been working, especially with Jameson Williams coming back and giving a new part and dynamic to this offense. And yeah, this team is getting healthy. They're starting to make a really nice playoff push. I believe that they're the 9th seed if this happens. The only reason the Giants are ahead and the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks have some weird win over a team that they lost to, and the Giants are 7-6-1, so they have the tie that's keeping them in it. So yeah, but they still could be knocking on the door to that 7th seed. So give me the Lions here.
Okay, so our next matchup for this week is the Cardinals versus Broncos. Zach, what are your thoughts on this game?
Russ isn't playing because of concussion protocol. Kyler Murray isn't playing because of an ACL tear. This is a really bad matchup. Cortland Sutton's not going to be playing most likely because he's dealing with injuries. It's going to be Colt McCoy versus whatever the Broncos bring out. And I trust Colt McCoy more than whatever the Broncos bring out. So give me the Arizona Cardinals here in a victory. That is not going to be convincing and makes me sad. I am wanting to tank this season, but the Cardinals are not losing at all to the Broncos. Now, defensively, the Broncos could totally beat the Cardinals, and I'll be perfectly fine with that. I want to get at least a top 5, maybe even top. We already have a top 10 pick. I want to try to get a top 5 pick because I want one of these good edge rushers, and I really kind of want Will Anderson. That'd be crazy, but that's for the other videos. I think the Cardinals, there's only like one way the Cardinals can lose, and that's defensively. So, to the Broncos defense. So yeah. What about you, Jack?
Oh my, this matchup is not going to be fun. Colt McCoy versus Brett Ripon. Saw him play against the Jets. He's not that good. I'll give the slight edge to the Cardinals here. I think Colt McCoy's a little more comfortable in their system as of right now. He's had a little bit of opportunities over the last few years to play in it. He has Hopkins still. I don't know if he has Hollywood or not. I know he doesn't have Rondale, but
yes.
If he has Hopkins and Hollywood, that's still some decent offensive pieces. Broncos defense probably keeps him in it, but overall, there's not a lot of playmakers going on. Russ got a lot of points with Judy, and they were starting to build some momentum. That was mainly because Judy was like the only guy in the receiver room pretty much outside KJ Hamler is also hurt. It was just Judy, Greg Dolch, and like Latavius Murray. There's not a lot going on in the Broncos offense, and even though I get Russ has had a bad year, but he did have a good game against the Chiefs. Maybe he built on it. Brett Ripon's kind of going to suck all the momentum out of the offense that they started to build last week. So I'll give the slight edge to the Cardinals and probably a really ugly game. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I'm saying it's going to be an ugly game, but usually in ugly games, if we're going up against who has a better offense and who has a better defense, I'm always going to trust the defense. Because if you look at the top matchups where the best offense is going up against the best defense, i.e. Super Bowl 48, the defense usually wins. So I think that the defense is going to do enough for Brett Ripon to look at least serviceable in this offense. And the Cardinals, while they do have 2 receiving threats in DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Hollywood Brown, and a pretty good backup in Colt McCoy, I don't see the defense or the defense giving up that much to the Cardinals. So give me the Denver Broncos here. Okay.
Oh
So
yeah, I forgot to mention something. Yeah, start James Conner because we saw this last year when Kyler Murray was injured, and we all remember when James Conner dropped 30 on Jack in our fantasy league. So yeah, he'll probably go crazy again. So yeah.
okay. So our next matchup is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to hand this one off to myself, and I'm going to choose the Cincinnati Bengals. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been really, I don't even know what to describe. They haven't been bad enough to be a dumpster fire, but they haven't been good enough to make people actually want to watch them. So they're just somewhere in the middle. Because Tom Brady, some weeks he is looking like the old Tom Brady, and other weeks he is looking like he should have retired 5 years ago. This this season is very weird, and I don't see a way that the Bucks are winning this game because the Bengals are just getting hot at the right time, and the Bucks are just very confused, very injured. I don't know what the heck's happening, so give me the Bengals here. Zach.
Bengals have been really starting to hit their stride this season. If they do win here, they're gonna have a 10-win season. I think that's very close on clinching playoffs. They still have to worry about the Ravens and them catching up to them, but I really like this Bengals team. They're on a I believe 4-game winning streak. And yeah, they're on a 4-game winning streak after their bye. Technically 5-win if you want to count the Panthers before then. But they have been very consistent. They're starting to finally hit their stride, like I said, and they are cooking offenses, or cooking defenses. My bad. So yeah, check.
I'm going Bengals here. This Bucks team is just pretty deflated at this point. They can beat like teams like the Saints maybe, and like took a miracle to beat the Saints pretty much. Two major comeback, and then they got blown out by the 49ers a week later. This team just doesn't have it this year, whether it's Tom Brady, Todd Bowles, whatever you want to blame, injuries. It's just not the same team. Anytime they run into like a realistic playoff team or fringe playoff team, they tend to struggle the last couple of weeks. They're 6-7. They're a game under 500 here in December. And the Bengals, they've always found their stride late in the season, and it's happening again. They're going to get to the double-digit wins this week. Don't have a lot of faith in the Bucks here. Bengals should win this one pretty easily.
Okay, so our final matchup of the video is Monday Night Football between the Los Angeles Rams and the Green Bay Packers. Zach, what are your thoughts on this game?
This is a really hard game to predict. I'm gonna say the Rams. This is a really weird one. Rams are coming off a short. I think it's a shorter. Yeah, they're coming off a way shorter week than the Packers. But I feel like Baker Mayfield being more into the system. It took a miracle to beat the Raiders, but I feel like he'll know the system a little bit better. He'll get more adjusted to it. He'll get to know his receivers more. I feel like it's gonna be a win for them. The Packers have also taken a weird slide. They've been really inconsistent. Even before their bye week, losing, they dropped games, like really inconsistent. They just beat the Bears and then went on a bye, so it's really weird. I'm just gonna give it to the Rams, and yeah. Back.
Oh, if we looked at this matchup last year, it would have been definitely a game of the week. I guess I'll give it to the edge to the Packers. I cannot get a read on the Packers at all. I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers wants to start at this point. He has a broken thumb. Might as well see what you have in Jordan Love. That could give you a spark. Don't know what they want to do. They have the draft pick, so if they wanted to lose out to get a better pick, get some more talent in the room, they could do that. Rams looked pretty decent with Baker Mayfield on Thursday night, but then again, it was also Josh McDaniels. This was the guy that also gave Jeff Saturday the one win as well. He's a strange dude. He knows how to lose games in strange fashion. Like, sometimes they give him absolute layup wins, and then he just denies it. Cannot win games like that sometimes. So I'm not going to completely say that Baker Mayfield's like ready to go, and he's going to go in there with Van Jefferson and all those Van Jefferson, Skoranek, Tyler Higbee, and go get a win. I think I'll give the slight edge to the Packers here. I think they still want to win games at this point. Can't make a playoff berth, but maybe for like pride. I just can't get a read on either of these teams super well. But they are coming off a bye, so I'll give the slight edge to the Packers. But game could definitely go either way. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I'm going to have to go with the Green Bay Packers here because I think that the Packers are, even with Jordan Love, are at least serviceable. And while the Rams did win last week, like everyone else has said, it is against the Raiders, so we got to take that with a grain of salt. So I think that Mayfield is going to have one of those games again where he does well, but I think Jordan Love is just going to do a little bit better against the Rams. So give me the Green Bay Packers coming off the bye. So that concludes our predictions for this week. Our big announcement is that the Friday Night Chronicles is coming back, and it is the finale of the series. Unfortunately, we've had life to deal with, so we couldn't film for the past couple of weeks. But this week, we are ending it off. We are going to have 3 different games this week. We are starting off at the beginning of the day with a game, and by the end, you're going to have some fun. This weekend is going to be amazing. So buckle up. The Friday Night Chronicles are coming back for their finale. So the series will be done maybe for a little bit, maybe forever. We don't know at this point. But it's been a great ride. So get ready for this finale. I have been Josh from Frontline Football, and Jack, hit the plugs.
As always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FrontlineFB. It's the same for other stuff there. And stay tuned. Friday Night Chronicles has reached its end. This will be the grand finale. So tune in for either the vlog or the highlights or both. Whatever you prefer, tune into you can. There's going to be some great football being played there. Though some of the best high school football teams in Texas, I believe Nation or Texas. I'm not sure which one. But they are going to be going up against each other.
In Texas, it's going to be at Jerry World. So.
And then I guess that's it for this week. We'll see you back here next week for another week of predictions. There will be some very interesting results. This week could influence some of the playoff stuff. We've reached a playoff push season, so stay tuned for that and lock in your picks. See you guys next week.